Hey folks, how you doing? All right, good to be back with you. I want to talk about a god called Ap Wat. Ap means to open up, to open the way, etc. Also means to guide a person along the path. And Wat means just that, the path, the way. So Ap Wat, okay, is the opener and the guide along the path, you see. Now, we want to open the path, or they wanted to open the way, so that the will of a person can travel all through, to go around the body. Now, we also had the guy named Ta, Ptah. Ta, they say, dug a tunnel to the earth so that the sun god could travel all the way around. Well, this is the same thing with Apawai. He's opening the way for the will, which is associated with the sun, open the way for the will to travel all around the earth, or through the earth, around the earth, it's whatever. They opened the way for the will. So the sun then is associated with the will. Apwat is also associated with embalming. Okay, well, yes, they embalmed. Apwat was doing the scene when they embalmed the actual dead, the person who has really died, and they embalmed them. We know that we see the mummies. You know what I mean? So the mummy went through the embalming process. But we also want the embalmer to focus on, let's say, the human being who is still alive. You see what I mean? In other words, when a person went through the temple, going through the initiation process during ancient times, they didn't want him falling back to the herd mentality because they raised him to the level of a supreme intelligence. They didn't want him slipping back. So they say, well, they go through this so-called mental bombing process, or embalming, a mental embalming process. Okay? So this stops the initiate from returning to what we call the herd mentality. Because the herd mentality says that the herd reacts. They are reactionary as opposed to causal. But when this person goes to super intelligence, he becomes causal. He causes things to happen within, like the secretion of hormones, you say to me. So he becomes like the opener. He opens the way for the individual to create conditions within himself wherein, when he wills certain hormones to be secreted, they will be secreted. They got to come because the conditions have been set, okay, for this to take place. So now, so they embalmed the guy so that he'd never slip back. He'd never go back to the herd community. They want him in the causal community. Okay. So now Apwat takes care of these things. He takes the person through the necessary exercises because he's opening the way. Exercise opens the way too. As we know, when people do exercise to accomplish some type of perfection, they do the exercise right and do enough exercise, they accomplish their perfection. They become experts. Oh, the same principle is involved here. You know what I mean? Now, this is something that anybody can do. Anybody can achieve it. But it's not anybody who's interested. Well, we have, like we say, the herd community. People sit back and they say, oh, I'm cool. I got what I want. I don't need to do anything. I said, true, they didn't. You know what I mean? And fine, okay, lay back and do your thing. You know what I mean? But there are some people who wanted to go the extra mile. These are the ones that the temple wanted to go the extra mile. and who was willing to do it. You know what I mean? So now, they didn't want him going back to the herd community. You know, herd community is it's reactionary. People react to things instead of cause things to happen. So now, when an initiate goes into the temple, they wipe his personality out. If he's going through the initiation, they wipe his personality out. They take him back to where he has a baby mentality. He has to be taught everything from the ground up, even how to walk. They have to teach him everything. You know what I mean? And then they put back in what they want in there. Now, in this process of going back to child mentality is a part of opening the way. Because when you go back to the child mentality, all that personality stuff, all the old things, the old thoughts and whatnot, that would interfere with the initiation process are eliminated. And so when they put what they want in, then the person comes forth knowing. And knowing what they taught him, because there was nothing to interfere with the instruction, the teaching, or him receiving it and using it wisely. He's taught all this. These are the people who become priests. Some of them are businessmen and so forth. And some of the, let's say, the Ptolemies. These are the Greek folks who took over the place after the Greek invasion. Some of the Roman emperors went through this process, but I don't think they really made it. They wasn't concerned too much about that. They had everything they wanted. They had the power, they had the money, the powerful militaries and all that. So they wasn't interested in it, and they didn't do all that well with it. Okay? So now, when the coming causal, a person's able to secrete the hormones that he wants to secrete. You know? This is also associated with symbols. Okay? Symbols were used in the initiation process. Okay? And they go along with the law of association. Okay? Now, the law of association works something like this. Let's take a child who's sitting in the house with his mom. She's cooking and everything, and this happens often. He's often there. And let's say that there's something, an object in the kitchen that he might not even be aware of. You know what I mean? Let's say that it's something the mom keeps in the kitchen. Let's say an egg beater or something like that. Okay. And this goes on, for time, years. The kid goes in the kitchen, talk to mom. Mom's cooking and this and that. The boy feels good. Mom's cooking a good meal, cake and all that. You know what I mean? It brings on a wonderful feeling, a good feeling for the child, let's say, But now let's say that the child's grown and he's driving down the highway one day. You know what I mean? And there's a billboard and it's advertising egg beaters. And so he looks up, he notices the billboard, he notices the egg beater, and that feeling that he experienced when he was in the kitchen with mom years ago when he was a kid comes back to him through the egg beater. In other words, he was unconsciously aware of the egg beater. Like I say, he didn't pay attention to it when he was in the kitchen with mom, but he was unconsciously aware of the egg beater. You know what I mean? And so when he sees it on the billboard, wow, all that feeling, all that goodness, that good feeling, it comes back to him. Well, that's through association. The egg beater's associated with that good feeling. Now, he wasn't paying attention to the egg beater consciously, but unconsciously he was. So that's the association. Now, that egg beater would be a symbol. If in a temple they had symbols that would do the same thing. You know what I mean? In other words, through association with the symbol, the person could go through the practice, learn the deal, but then one day he's out of the temple, maybe going somewhere, and he wants to evoke a certain, let's say, netter, wants to evoke something with him, a state of mind. That symbol, if he pull that symbol out, it will evoke Okay, that feeling that evoke the secretions of the hormones that he wants secreted to have a certain feeling or condition or an awareness, an awakening. That symbol can do it. That's why they had symbols all throughout the temple, and they work. You know, they can work in a good way and they can work in a bad way. You can control a population of people, the herd, through symbols. You know, if you want to break away from something, you have to learn to ignore the symbols that are connected with that something. Okay, but these are ways of opening the way. That's the sum of opening the way. Okay, but this is the way. Is the path to super intelligence, a way to get the person away from the herd. You see a herd of animals? One go this way, the herd goes that way. The leader goes this way, and the whole herd goes that way. They run through a river of crocodiles. They all go through. That is herd mentality. Okay, folks, we want to initiate in the temple away from the herd mentality. Going back to that is what you call decay. That's one of the reasons why they embalm. You bomb, you won't decay, you won't go back, you won't return to the ordinary life because you have come into the realm of super intelligence. No going back. Okay, folks, have a good one, and we'll get back to things like this, you know, and have a good day. And subscribe. Okay, bye-bye.